Hey there, it's James Taylor here. Have you ever had that experience of being maybe on a plane and the person next to you turns to you and says, "So, what do you do?" This happened to me recently. I was traveling to speak at a conference in Europe and the woman next to me turned to me and she said, "So, what do you do?" And I explained to her, I said, "I speak all over the world about creativity and innovation." And then we had a nice conversation just about life and everything. And as we're like 5 minutes before we're about to land, she turns back to me again and she said, "So James, tell me, what can I do to live a more creative life?" Now, in 5 minutes, I was thinking, how can I compress, my understanding, my knowledge that I've had in teaching people about creativity into 5 minutes? So I thought, what's going to give this person the biggest bang for their buck? What's going to be the biggest change that this person can make? And what I said to this woman is what I'd like to kind of say to you just now. There's two areas you can think about to make the biggest change in living a more creative life, I would say. What often happens is when companies think about developing a more creative organization, often the first thing they look to do is train people up on creative thinking skills. It goes back to people like Edward de Bono, and incredibly powerful, training people in different ways of thinking and getting their mind to think more creatively. And that's great. However, I have this expression I use on stage, which is change the water, not the fish. If you have a sick fish in a goldfish bowl, then the first thing you normally do is, if the fish is a bit sick, you change the water first. So when it comes to organizations and teams, the biggest bang for your buck you can have is actually to generate and create a more creative culture in the organization first, and then start to work with the individuals on their skills as well. So let me give you a couple of examples on how we can do that. The first one, just from your own personal creative environment, is we have this expression, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. How many of them are really kind of quite creative individuals? How many of them are quite curious and always thinking in different ways about the world? If you're with a group of people all the time who think in the same way day in, day out, then it might not be, it's kind of unusual that you may have those conversations which will spark new ideas if you're always with these people. So the first thing I suggest is look at those 5 people you spend the most time with. If they're curious people, they're asking questions and they're sparking you as well, wonderful. But if it's not like that, then maybe you want to think about going and finding some other people to hang out with, or adding to your group of people. Another thing you can do as well is, especially in business, we tend to find we go to the same conferences year in, year out. We hear the same talks, the same lectures year in, year out. And then we wonder, why aren't we coming up with some transformative ideas for our businesses? So what I would suggest as well, in terms of this idea of changing the water, not the fish, is change the conferences, the events that you go to as well. Try and go to maybe conferences which are not directly related to your industry, but they have something there that you can use in your work as well. It will expose you to many, many more ideas. So that's the first one, is thinking about your environment and changing the water, not the fish. Really thinking about the culture of your organization, people that you're working with, spending time with. The second one, and this goes to a little bit more to the skills side, is I was speaking to Dr. K.H. Kim the other day, who wrote an incredible book about the creativity crisis, why creativity levels in many countries are declining just now. And in that, she studied some of the great Nobel Prize winners. And what she found from them is something that they're not the highest IQ levels, they have the smart people, but they're not at the top of the charts there. But what they're very, very good at is boundary crossing. And boundary crossing is this idea where you go and study another area that's not necessarily directly related to what you're doing, and bring some insights and knowledge from that area and apply it to what you're doing just now. So for yourself, let's say if you're in the world of engineering, for example, I would argue that it would be a good idea for you to spend time maybe also studying things completely unrelated to engineering. Or if you're an artist, a visual artist, maybe spend a little bit of time looking at things like AI and seeing and thinking all the changes that are going on in and how that can apply to your work as well. Where you'll get the biggest bang for your buck is when you can often take an existing idea from one area, and an existing idea from your area that you know very well and you have expertise in, and you combine them into a unique, new and novel way. So hopefully that's been interesting. That's some of the kind of advice I gave that lady as we were kind of coming into land as well. So think about the boundary crossing, getting inspiration from other places that are not directly related to what you do, and also changing your environment, the culture in which you're working. Hope you enjoyed that. Hi, it's James here. Did you enjoy that episode? If so, there's 2 things that we can do to continue the journey together. Firstly, I would love if you to subscribe, give us 5 stars and leave a comment. Secondly, if you go to jamestaylor.me and enter your name and email address, I'm going to send you some free goodies all around creativity and innovation. Look forward to continuing the journey together.